What's up, guys? So, from MMAmania.com, Leon Edwards offers Jorge Masvidal first UFC title shot. Gamebred agrees to break his face. Man, I wanted to talk about Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards is in one of those weird spots where he's been on a winning streak for a very long time. That means that he hasn't lost in a very long time in the welterweight division, and he's set up to be the next title contender for Kamaru Usman's championship for his title. So he's getting the next title shot, is what I'm saying, and I think it's going to be a good matchup. Usman beat Leon Edwards a while back, years ago, and so this would be a rematch, and it's gonna be interesting because Leon Edwards, he's a pretty good fighter, man. I think he's very underrated. It's just that he's not outspoken. He's not about shenanigans. He's not about any of that. He's one of those pure fighters, from Europe, and he has a different style. He lets his fighting do the talking, and I think he kind of got a bum rap because the last time he agreed to fight Khamzat Chimaev, something that he shouldn't have agreed to because Khamzat wasn't even in in his level as far as the welterweight echelon of positioning, in that division. And even though that was the case, Leon Edwards was being a company man, and he said yes to facing Khamzat Chimaev, who at that time had a lot of hype behind him. He had fought two guys and in very short period of time in between them fights, and he looked very dominant. This was before Khamzat faced Edward Burns not too long ago, where he finally looked human, where finally people realized that, Khamzat is good, but he's not invincible. He's human. So Leon Edwards back then, he agreed to fight the guy, and Khamzat, I think he got hurt. I think he got COVID at the time. I'm fussy on the details of that. But, Leon Edwards was being the company man. Then he was the company man again and decided to face Nate Diaz. And they did wind up facing each other. And he realized, facing a popular draw like Nate Diaz was going to be good for him. And it was a very good fight. And let me say, man, he beat the shit out of Nate Diaz. He really did. If you see that fight, it went to 5 rounds, and it was, Leon Edwards was just having his way with Nate Diaz. He bloodied him, he leg kicked him, outboxed him. Nate was a bloody mess, and he was pushing him around, knocking him down several times off his feet, ragdolling the guy. It's just so happened that, Nate Diaz is one of those game guys that you're not going to put away. He's a zombie, man. He keeps coming. And I think it was in the last round, by this point, Leon Edwards was tired, and Nate caught him and wobbled Edwards. And, everybody went crazy. The commentators went crazy. And Nate Diaz was just exhausted at that point too. And it was a good shot. It wobbled Edwards, and but Nate Diaz just didn't have the energy to really follow up, or he really didn't realize that he had Edwards hurt. We don't know. We don't know if he would have followed up, he would have finished Edwards. A lot of people assume yes. But Edwards recovered, and it was like a 30-second lapse. And everybody forgot about how dominant Leon Edwards was. how he just basically beat the shit out of Nate Diaz, who's a badass fighter, and he beat the shit out of Nate Diaz and made it look good, man, and just everybody forgot, even the pundits and everybody on YouTube, and it's one of those crazy things, and here we are, I think maybe over a year later after that fight, and Leon Edwards still hasn't gotten his title fight because Kamaru Usman gave Colby Covington a rematch. He gave Masvidal a rematch. He gave everybody a rematch except for Leon Edwards. So Leon Edwards, there's a lot of lack of respect for the guy. There's a lot of lack of respect for the guy, for what he's done, for what he has earned at this point, and it just baffles me. I'm always reading online articles, and in online articles, if in MMA Mania or MMAfighting.com, if some pro wrestling article is mentioned or pointed out, the MMA fandom, they quickly jump on them and they say this shouldn't be here, and they snub pro wrestling things, WWE things, and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, these people, are the same people that love when, popular fighters, just based on popularity, not victories, not they get title fights. Example over here, Masvidal is a badass, but he's gotten 2 title shots already, and he didn't get the belt. Conor McGregor, people keep pushing him into the narrative of a title fight, and the guy hasn't won a fight in years, man, in years, and it's crazy. It's something out of WWE, because only in WWE do you see things like this where a fighter hasn't been winning, or the narrative, or because of popularity, they are pushed to the front and get title fights and stuff like that. And this is what basically UFC has become. It has become like a popularity contest, and where the most popular guy, the most controversial guy, where there's beef, where there's more drama, where there's more Karate Kid style bully versus victim type of storylines. Those are the fights that people want to see, just based on popularity, and so the times of merit, maintaining a winning streak, it's not enough to get a title fight nowadays in UFC. And it's sad to see, because that's what a sport is. A sport is, if you're doing good, you get to championship level contests where you compete for a championship, because you're that good, because you keep winning and you work your way up the way you're supposed to. And but UFC is not set up that way nowadays. UFC now is more about the drama, is more about the popularity, is more about what sells more, the controversy, whatever beef is going on. And we're talking about, this is what we're talking about, and I think that's what Leon Edwards is looking for here. He's looking ahead of Usman, who's an incredible champion, who is a handful, and you should be focused on Kamaru Usman, that champion, and you should realize that if you beat that champion, who has been a very dominant champion in the welterweight division, you're more than likely gonna have to give him an immediate rematch, because this guy just gave you a rematch after you beat him the first time. Second time you beat him, now I would think a trilogy is merited, unless you come in and you knock out Kamaru Usman in the first minute and make it look easy, and you're very dominant and no questions asked, you're better. Or you just dominate that guy for 5 rounds and just make Kamaru Usman look like he doesn't belong in that ring. Those are circumstances, but unlikely, and you're probably gonna have to give Kamaru Usman a rematch if you beat him, if you grab that belt from him. Instead, you're looking ahead of Usman, and here you are and saying that you're gonna grant a title shot to Masvidal. I'm a fan of Masvidal, man, but he already got 2 title shots because of that beef. Because a few years ago, outside of the ring, you had an encounter and it was taped, and that's just ego boost kind of things. That's I think that Leon Edwards' ego is hurt about that still, or maybe it isn't. It's just something that he's grabbing onto, referencing, so he can face draw a pay-per-view draw like Masvidal, who is a pay-per-view draw, and maybe that's what it's all about. A money fight. But we're talking about the welterweight championship here. We're talking about you earning that spot. We're talking about you just beating Kamaru Usman, who is a very dominant champion. And if you beat that guy, you should be elated. You should be super happy that you beat such a champion. And you probably, unless that champion refuses, you're probably gonna have to give that champion an immediate rematch, depending on how that fight goes. But more than likely, you probably will, and it's merited. It'll be a trilogy. It'll be exciting. So it just baffles me what goes on, and I wanted to comment on Leon Edwards. I hope he gets the title fight, but I also hope he focuses. He understands that he needs to look at what's ahead of him, which is Kamaru Usman, who is a handful, is a champion that is good on the feet. He's good on the ground, hell of a wrestler, immense cardio, stamina, great chin. The guy is a monster, man, and that's what you should be focusing on instead of looking at, granting title shots with people you have beef with. And you got to look at that fighter that you have a beef with and where he is in the, in the ranks of that division. How many wins has he had? Is he there with you, as far as wins and losses? And what kind of opportunities that fighter has had, and what kind of opportunities you being denied so far. And now you get your opportunity, focus on that opportunity. That's just my 2 cents, and I wanted to give insight into the situation with Leon Edwards. And hopefully he gets, I hear that title match is already set. I hope it really happens, and looking forward to seeing what Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman Part 2 is going to be like. Thanks, guys, for listening to me, and those are my 2 cents. Give me likes, dislikes, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Peace.